Well, welcome to another edition of Selling Our Junk, and so which is awesome. Which is what we.
Let's be honest here.
I know we have a lot of it. So, and one day we probably won't just be talking about our junk. We'll be talking about other people's junk. So,
which I'm really excited about because we're not the only ones that have a passion and a collection of their passion.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Hopefully more will be on its way. But today we're going to continue on with my favorite spaceship, the Enterprise.
At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space.
Star Trek was kind of known as sort of like a naval or a navy type of vessels going into space. So you have to be inside all the time, going to places. And so a lot of their ships were kind of like being in the Navy, like being in those big, what do you call them, aircraft carriers or, tankers or whatever. And so when you're in a big ship, that's sort of what Gene Roddenberry's vision was taking that sort of mentality into space. And they weren't an army, they were explorers. That's what kind of made it different, even though they had to arm themselves with laser guns or whatever, phasers. Kind of get that right. It's not a laser, it's a phaser. So
set to stun.
That's set to stun, that's right. Phaser set to stun. And the Enterprise is the one that's probably the most obviously well-known. And the Enterprise was originally called the Yorktown. But then he changed it to the Enterprise because there was a big aircraft carrier known as the Enterprise, and he was impressed by that, and so he changed the name to the Enterprise. And it was created by a man named Matt Jeffries. He's the one that put it together, and Matt Jeffries, he was actually a bomber pilot during World War II, so he had a lot of flying experience. And then he went on to work into the movies, and he worked on a lot of props, sets, set building, for a lot of films. Props and sets are actually different in the film world. For those who understand the film world, if you're in the props department, that's not the set department. The set is building something that exists. The prop is something that an actor actually picks up and uses. And Matt Jeffries' design for the Enterprise was to try to keep the people, if you look at the structure of it, to keep the people away from the engines. Because if you're going to go at warp speed in space, it's going to take a lot of power. There was also a concern that this was going to come across as a flying saucer.
Yeah.
And thus it would make it more alien than it was something that we can relate to.
Mm-hmm. I know in watching the programs, I've only seen them, go onto the elevator. And I wonder, does that elevator go down into this part or...
That's kind of hard to just, go
future,
down.
Right?
Yeah, it's the future. You go wherever you want.
Willy Wonka had one that went everywhere.
Yeah, it went sideways and upways and all over and over the buildings. And so
the Wonkavator, is that
the Wonkavator. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure.
When you see the first episode of Star Trek, it was actually the pilot episode was a different captain. And his name was Captain Pike. In that episode, at the very beginning, you see the ship flying in space, and then you see the camera go right into the head here, and then you see this, they kind of did this effect where you went into the bridge. So this is the bridge. This is where probably 80% of the TV show is filmed, is just in this little area right here. Mm-hmm. So this is really kind of fun. I had to bring this one out. This was actually in its box, and I was very hesitant to pull it out of its box because I try to keep things in their boxes if I'm going to turn them around. But in this case, this is so pretty. And you know what this thing is, Stephanie? Do you know what this Enterprise, this is supposed to do?
What it's supposed to do?
Yeah.
Other than sit and have
toy,
lights on it?
I plugged it in. This is actually...
Is it a radio?
This is a tree topper. This goes on top of your Christmas tree. And so this is a keepsake special. That's right, that you would buy at a Hallmark store. And so I had to have this. This was awesome. And so I bought this. Now, I doubt that my sweet wife would let us have this on our tree. She said, oh, you can get your own tree and then you can stick it and so I don't have to see it.
Yeah, we could put a tree in the basement and let him decorate it in Star Trek and Star Wars.
In the movie room.
I'm just not ready to have that in my living room.
Yeah. That's so be it. So
this is a tree topper.
This is a tree topper. That's right. So I bought this. This is pretty new. This is a couple of years old. They started putting these out probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I had to get me one. So if you find one and you're a nerd enough and your wife will let you do it, or husband,
or you don't have a wife,
or if you don't, if you're still in your parents' basement and you got a place to stick it, get this as your tree topper. This is really awesome. Okay, so this is another piece. Now I brought this one in. This is not the Enterprise, but I brought this in because this is a lot like this piece. These are both what's called Franklin Mint. Now, Franklin Mint is a company that makes like coins and things like that and memorable statues. And so this one I got probably 30 years ago. And this is a beautiful piece.
That's incredible. And what kind of ships are on there?
This is the Enterprise, and this is a Romulan ship, and this is a Klingon bird of prey. And here's what's cool is this is also a Franklin Mint. And my sister, I feel like a statue. I feel like I won the Spock Award. This actually was, you can see underneath, it says the official Star Trek portrait sculptures at Franklin Mint.
Yep.
My sister bought this at an auction for $5. And I was like, bless you, sister. And she found it and she knew I would want it. And so yeah, she got it at one of those estate auctions back east, and she got it for $5. So this is really cool. Here's another piece right here. This one, and we've talked about this one before. This was from 1976, and this is, I bought this, I think, in 1978 is when I think I got this. And this was an original Enterprise, what do you call this thing? This is a metal Dinky toys. That's what it is. These are the Dinky toys. That's the name of it. I know it's Dinky, but it's Dinky Toys is who produced this. And they did a bunch of these. They did some Star Wars ones, and they did some Star Trek, and they did other toys. And I leave it like that because there's normally a little shuttle ship that goes underneath here. And there's also on the top, you see, you would put little pellets in here and you would turn this around and it would shoot out. Pew, pew, just like that. To manufacture something like this was not quick and easy, I'm sure. And so there just didn't exist until that one came out, but that was like it. That was all there was. And I know there was others, but I haven't been able to see them. Mm-hmm. Or models. And, me and models, we're like this. I mean, I don't have the patience or the time to sit there and do models. I'm going to flash a picture on here. One cool Enterprise that is very hard to find is megabloks. Now, megabloks is, and I actually owned this, but it was so big I didn't want to bring it here on the table because it would take this whole table. But we have a son that's very patient with Legos, and we'll do Legos. The stuff behind us you'll see are actually Legos that he has built himself. And Star Trek never commissioned anything with Legos. It was all Star Wars Legos. In fact, there's Star Wars Legos cartoons. I mean, they like go together. Yeah. But Star Trek never imposed on that. They never took advantage of it. So Megabloks is who took advantage of doing the Star Trek stuff. And so if you can find an Enterprise Megabloks, that's really valuable. And so I found one and I bought it for Michael to put together to leave at my house. So whose is it? That's yet to be known. Mm. So last thing I'm going to show you is this one. Now this is from Diamond Select. Now Diamond Select did a lot of redos when Star Trek kind of had a rebound on popularity, and the action figures from the 70s and the Enterprise ship from the 70s were redone. It was Diamond Select who redid them. So they took them from Mego and they redid them, make them look just like the Mego ships. Now, Diamond Select also made a whole bunch of stuff like this and a phaser and a communicator and all kinds of stuff. This one is such a beautiful ship. And so, but if you can see right here, what makes this ship more valuable is a guy who's actually been into space, and that's William Shatner. And so he signed this for me. And so this is my...
At a young age of what?
At
87?
the young age, I think at the time he was only like 84 or something.
Yeah.
He was a young buck back then. So, and so he came to Salt Lake Comic-Con in 2013, and we got a couple of signatures from him, and this is one of them. So I was really thrilled to have this one. But this has already been out of the box. Otherwise, how did he autograph it? Mm-hmm. But I'm almost afraid to take it out of the box. It's such a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
But I love the Enterprise. It's such a fun ship to collect, and there's a certain beauty to the Enterprise. And it's also very popular. It's very well known. Anybody who sees the ship knows what it is, just about, unless you've been living in a cave.